Sup, honkies?
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm so good. So they came up a couple minutes early, and we've been watching like the footage that they've been rolling all weekend. And there's a hilarious clip of you, just like you said, flicking everyone off.
Yeah.
And you're like, who else can get away with that besides Art the Clown?
It's wonderful.
What a moment.
Most places you get hit for doing that.
No, and here we like encourage it. You know, we're like, thumbs up. How was last night? How was the premiere?
Oh, that was fun. I only stayed for a little while, though, because I was exhausted. But I at least got to watch the first 10 minutes of the film, which is one of my favorite parts of the movie anyway. I love that opening, so I was very happy to see that with a crowd and see how everybody reacted to it.
Yeah. Did any of y'all get to go last night? Oh, a good amount. All right.
Excuse me. 'Tis the season for the sneezing.
Heather, what was it like for you the first time seeing Terrifier 3?
It was kind of wild because the first time I saw it was the cast and crew premiere in New York that we just had. So it's interesting to watch a film with just the people you've made it with, so we're all cheering and laughing at things that really should be screamed at.
A different perspective.
A very different perspective, but it was a really great time to get to see it with people we made it with.
Yeah. So was this your first time working together on Terrifier 3 when you did the makeup for it? Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the project?
So I work for a company called Tinsley Studios, and they got in the project, and I started working on it, building the pieces beforehand. I did David's life cast and things like that, and as it started progressing, my boss came up to me and he's like, you've done all of this up to now, would you like to see it through and take it to set? And I was like, absolutely, I would love to.
Amazing. How cool. Well, yeah, we can clap. We like clapping here.
Thank you.
She made me pretty.
I try.
I feel like this is like so cool that we get to spend this particular weekend with you guys. I mean, the #1 movie right now. What is this?
What the fuck?
How do you process this? Like, do you process this?
It hasn't processed yet. I'm still in a kind of a daze about it all. I'm like it's such a David and Goliath story right here. I mean, it's really an underdog story. I'm like, we made this movie with maybe like $4 million, and we beat out a $200 million film. That's insane. That never happens, especially with an indie, unrated film. That's just never happens. It's all because of the fans. The fans went out and in numbers and supported us, and we accomplished basically the impossible this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes to show a great film is a great film, no matter what the budget is.
It's true.
So wild. Okay, and maybe slightly interesting that it happens to be a Joker film, and I know you do like the Joker. I'm not sure how you feel about this version of the Joker, but I have seen, and maybe y'all are part of this as well, because I feel like this is something that we need from you, David. We need to see you as the Joker, and I've seen these petitions going around, like the world wants it.
I want it too. He's my favorite villain of all time, and I want to do him right for once. I want to do a comic book accurate version of the Joker, and I hope someone gives me the chance to finally bring him to life on the big screen or a television series or something like that.
Yeah. What?
Well,
Oh,
you want me to do a little bit Joker for y'all?
Yes.
Okay. I'll pull something out of my hat, then go through my catalog, because I've memorized a lot of his monologues from different, avenues and stuff like that. So I'll do something from one episode in from the animated series, is where Joker thinks Batman's been killed by this little nerdy guy, and he kind of goes off. So I'll do that for you guys. Dear friends, today is the day that the clown cried. And he cries not for the death of a man, but for the death of a dream. The dream that one day he'd finally taste the ultimate victory over his most hated enemy. For it was the Batman who made me into the happy soul I am today. Oh, how I agonized over the perfect way to thank him for that. Perhaps a little cyanide pie to the face. or a exploding whoopee cushion playfully planted in the Batmobile. But those dreams were dashed by this cowardly, insignificant little gonif sitting here in our midst. This wheezy little gunzo who probably got lucky when the Batman slipped on the slime trail. This loser left behind him. This diseased mound of hyena filth who probably wouldn't even be able to lick the dirt from the bottom of my spots. But I digress. The time for sorrow has passed. It's now time to look forward to a future filled with smiles. And I'll be smiling again just as soon as we take that man there and lock him into that box there and roll him into that vat of acid there. Well, that was fun. Who's for Chinese?
Oh my God. Well, you've clearly never done that before. Oh my God.
Never.
It's okay. Hold on. Let me regain my composure. It's crazy, Art. Not vocally being able to express himself, and then hearing you do something like that. Oh my God.
I do voices. Want to see my impression of a hot dog? Sorry.
No.
Robin Williams joke.
So good. My God. Heather, have you ever done a Joker makeup before?
Many, many years ago, but it was really bad when I was 17, and we don't need to revisit that.
Okay, fair. And obviously, we know some of your fandoms growing up in the Joker. What were some of your fandoms, and what inspires you?
I was always grew up on more of the sci-fi thing. The Aliens franchise is my absolute favorite, the second one. And Damien also loves that film, so we kind of connected on that.
We can clap again. We love it. We love Aliens. So good.
So yeah, I was always more into the sci-fi version of horror. So Aliens, The Thing, The Fly, things like that, where it's just really grotesque versions of human anatomy. And I think we still got to play with some of that in a slasher film, which is really cool.
Oh my gosh, this is great. Sorry, I'm still processing what's happening right now.
It's okay. David takes a long time to absorb and get used to.
Yeah. Oh, another thing, because I feel like there's been so many cool things flying around the internet now, is they want to see Art the Clown host SNL with Ice Nine Kills as
That would be amazing. I don't know how his opening monologue would definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome, because I've been a lifelong fan of SNL. That's one of the first shows I was watching as a kid. And I was way back in the day when Eddie Murphy was on there. So yeah, Gumby, damn it. Literally.
Have you seen the photoshopped images of them photoshopping Art into the different skits, the California?
Oh yeah. I loved it. That's hysterical.
Oh man.
It's the church lady would really love him.
Well, isn't that special?
No.
I also wanted to ask, because another thing I've been seeing flying around the internet is France. It made this the first 18+ movie now. You can't even. You have to be a legal adult in order to see. What's happening?
Je suis désolé. I do not know.
How was it over in Europe for all the premieres?
I had a fun time. I didn't. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Paris. That was they sent the ladies out there to Paris. I got to go to Amsterdam and Sitges. They're right outside of Barcelona, which was amazing because that's a huge film fest that they do out there, and it was beautiful. And then they sent me to Warsaw for half a day, so that was fun. Though I was in a daze by the end of the week, and then they sent me from Warsaw to New York for the premiere. So it was just this past week or so has been for me, but it's been fun. It's been fun. It's I never imagined I'd be able to travel the world in such a way. So that was really cool seeing how different cultures respond to art. And I noticed that they all embrace him, and I think it's because he's this silent character. He transcends language barriers, and they love him.
Art
What?
is universal.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. And it is.
If you guys want to start lining up to ask some questions while we're waiting for them to line up, I saw some really fun videos of you recently in Spirit Halloween, just utterly just terrifying children and people.
Oh, yeah.
What was that experience
Oh, that
like?
was so much fun. Yeah, they had me do some promos for Spirit Halloween and also Spencer's. And so they dressed me up as Art, and they let me loose in a mall for Spencer's, which was, oh boy, that was fun. So, and they had the cops actually called on me there. It's in the mall.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think it's because there's this one family. I'm just sitting there in the massage chair, and this mom and her kids come out. They see me, and I just wave at them, and they just go booking. And she like grabs up one child and just runs. I'm like, that is the appropriate response. And it was great. I was having at one point, one security guard is coming up to us like, "Excuse me, sir, you have to take off that mask." And I'm like, "What mask?" It's like, yeah, that's gonna take a while. But I'm in character the whole time, so I'm just like at them. So they're like, "This is weird."
Well, I can't imagine what would happen if Art got arrested.
Oh, that would be interesting. That's those kind of par for course for the Terrifier films, because like the first two films we had cops called on us. Did we have cops come in all in the third one? I can't remember.
I don't think we did. I think that was the only one we managed to avoid.
Yeah, I guess that's because we're, except for the mall and stuff like that, we were more in like secluded locations and stuff like that filming. So yeah, but
There's always part 4.
there's always part 4.
Yeah.
Art goes to the popo.
I love it. Hey, friend, go ahead.
Hey, Steven. I just wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on working with Chris Jericho and the scene that he was in part 2?
Oh, that was fun. That was a very surreal thing, because I used to watch Chris all the time back when I was young, especially in college. My roommate and I, every single week, we would watch wrestling and stuff like that. So that was very surreal. It dawned on me, because I have my hand in Chris's face, and I'm just smearing blood all over his face. And I'm like, what is my life right now? I can't believe I'm doing this. And I even said that to Chris. He's like, yeah, this is weird for me too. I was like, Chris is great. We sat next to each other at one of the premieres and stuff like that, and there in New York, and that was just fun sitting next to him and just chilling out with him. I was like, this is crazy. It's Chris Jericho. So that was cool.
Did Art get to?
Oh,
go ahead.
You too.
sorry. I'm so used to just sitting next to David while he talks. No, it was really cool because we built a full separate version of his head, so we could obviously rip it apart. We obviously couldn't do that to the actual actor, so that was.
Well, you can.
They kind of frown upon it. They want him back afterwards, and the whole putting him back together part we're not really great at. The ripping apart, 10 out of 10. Putting him back together, that's a little more complicated in our line of work. So it was really cool to meet him for the scan and everything, and to kind of see the process of it. And he was very chill and very excited to see his own head get ripped open. He's like, I want to watch it. He's like back on monitor as we've got the prosthetic head out. He's very excited about it. So that was really cool to see.
Maybe a wrestling match later.
Oh yeah.
Can you put him in the walls of Jericho?
Oh.
And I would ask for Art's finishing move, but I feel like he'd be sneaky and use whatever.
Oh yeah.
I feel like Sam's the one that wrestled him, actually.
Yeah, it was Sam that really did it.
Yeah.
That was almost it's almost like an Exorcist 3 type of thing she did, where she just comes out of nowhere, just whack, right at him. I loved it.
Perfect.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. Hey, what's your name?
Hello. First, congratulations on the success of the film.
Thank you.
Watching you choose scenery for the entirety of the film, I think I
delicious.
told you this earlier, you're our generation's Charlie Chaplin. You were phenomenal. And so I have got a question for each of you. For Heather, what was the most technically difficult effect to pull off? And for you, David, has Damien ever brought anything to the table that you were like, excuse me, you want me to do what? And maybe just had to say no thanks, whichever one of you wants to answer first.
I think the most technically difficult was the Santa, the frozen pieces of it. So we obviously had replica pieces of Danny Roebuck, but like each of the pieces that smashes out is shatterable plastic. But they have to fit perfectly back in and try and meld it together, and then it's all got to bleed at the right time, and you're always running against the clock of like, okay, we got to reset it in 30 seconds because we got to shoot again, and we're behind scenes or whatever. So that was always really difficult.
Yeah, there was actually supposed to be a little bit more to that kill scene too that we just didn't have time to get to. I was supposed to take coal and light him on fire and shove him into his eye sockets too. Yeah. Yeah, it's
we
just
missed out.
time. We just ran out of time. I was like, that would have been so cool.
Yeah, I think we had to shoot the face in like one take. We were
Yeah.
on like the 14th hour. They're like, we need to be out of this barn right now.
Yeah.
So it's like it works or it doesn't. You have to do it right this second.
Yeah. Now, what was my question? I said.
Has Damien Leone ever brought anything to you that you just couldn't bring yourself to do?
Almost.
Almost?
Because I know you've probably all heard the rumor about me almost puking on set.
Yeah.
And spoilers about this part, you know, if you don't want to hear this, just la earmuffs. But it's a kill that happens later on in the movie with the ant character. I can't stand vomit.
Okay.
I cannot stand vomit, and he knows that. And I know that little jerk put this in there. And there was actually more that we filmed with this character vomiting. And I think they probably just took some of that out because it's just gross. And
No, I think we just kept filming to fuck with you. We were done.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because they were having fun. the house was really hot and smelly at that point too, so that didn't help. And they were using this cream of mushroom soup with other stuff mixed in it to make it look like vomit, and that smelled horrible. And then Sam, being a little that she was that day, decided to come in just eating this horrible smelling bag of corn nuts. And she's just coming up to me, "Hey, Dave, what's wrong? Why are you sick?" I'm like, "Oh, go away. Go away." And, you know, sometimes in the movie, there's a little secret that's not always me as art. Sometimes one of our other crew guys, Steve Delasello, would fill in for me to be my arm or leg or something like that when I'm getting in makeup. And I'm like, "Can Steve please be my arm right now? I don't want to do this." And they're like, "Oh, no, Dave, your face is fully in the shot. You got to be there to do this." And so I'm just like on the side just holding this tube. I'm just like, and they got it all on video, so I imagine they're probably going to eventually release that just to embarrass the crap out of me. Oh yeah. But I'm very proud of myself. I did not vom, because I knew she would kill me because
Yes,
they
I
had
would've.
just put me in makeup, and I was like, this is great.
I do a lot of things for you. I will not clean vomit out of your face.
Yeah, I don't blame you because that's nay.
I was gonna say, I think it's so funny we're talking about all these like brutal murders and kills, and you said cream of mushroom soup, and the audience went, "Oh,
It's gross. It is gross.
Oh, not cream of mushroom." Hey, what's your name?
I don't know if I'm tall enough.
You can tilt it down.
You can jump.
I might just jump the whole time, yeah. Hi, I'm Megan.
Hello.
So obviously Art the Clown is very known for his brutality, as we're all aware. But I really love how you have kind of your silliness in between those acts of brutality and how you play the character. So I'm curious, could you foresee in the future, in the cards for Art, maybe some kind of spin-off series that's more silly, less brutal, like to let that side of the character shine a little more? Because I know I, for one, would enjoy that a lot.
That would be fun, like an animated series or something like that. Who knows? That would be fun. I mean, that's kind of like what I was doing, like, you know, the Spirit Halloween stuff that they recorded. I was just going around being silly and having fun in the store and stuff like that. It was like, maybe we could do some like Mr. Bean like type of shorts with art, just
Something
doing
like that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of
things
your
in public.
I feel like a lot of your cameo spots tend to be more like that. Like there was
Yeah.
the Ice Nine Kills Me video. You had a lot more of those funny moments of you playing the piano and things
Yeah.
like that.
Which was funny because like we're filming that and like our producer Phil's on set the whole entire time. He's like, "No, Dave, you gotta be more sinister." I'm like, "Phil, I'm playing a miniature piano with Ray Charles sunglasses on. How can I be sinister right now? I just be more sinister here. You can't be so goofy." I'm like,
Be more goofy.
"Thank you."
Thank
yo.
you.
Hey, what's your name?
Hey, my name's Brian. So
Hi,
one
Brian.
thing I've noticed a trend going on with all the movies, but I'll just reference the first two, is it seems like Art has his own weird way of being nice, but creeping people out, and they always like treat him badly, and that's when he usually snaps off. And I was wondering if someone just went and took everything that Art gave them, treated them nice, would he still go after them?
Oh yeah, of course.
But how brutal would it be compared to them treating them badly?
Probably not. It'll be a little less brutal, but they still die, you know. But like I always tell people, like the worst thing to do to him is call him the M word, as Allie did in part 2, calling him a mime, because that's one thing that annoys him so much. Because don't call him a mime. And I always have to explain to people, because there are people like, no, he's a mime because he's black and white and doesn't talk. I'm like, no, he's a silent clown. He's like, Emmett Kelly, he's a silent clown, or Harpo Marx, he's a silent clown. And I always like to explain to people the difference between clowns and mimes. It's like, silent clowns use props. Mimes do not. They pantomime everything, hence the name mime. What's that? Exactly. The Italian the clown, yay. Wahoo!
And also for Heather, another question I had. How many gallons of blood did y'all use for this film, or the third one?
We tried to keep track. It's really... We ran out a couple times. We were like, literally, we need anything. We were mixing our own at a certain point, because...
Mixing our own? Like,
oh, yeah, we the shower kill scene, we used like 8 gallons in a singular day, and they're like, we need more, and we're like, So I think the math added up to like 55 gallons or somewhere around there. Which, for the number of days we filmed, is about a gallon a day.
Wow.
All right.
What do you makes the best like consistency and most realistic blood?
children's blood.
It depends. Damien was very specific about the kind of blood that he liked. He very much liked the K and B blood. Personally, it's not my favorite. It's very, very sticky, and I felt so bad every time he put it on him, but he liked that thickness and that color. So we were always trying to match that with, like, and when Ryan Ward, who was my partner on this film, he was mixing the bloods, and he was using a lot of things like any blood that we already had and trying to thicken it with corn syrup or just extra food coloring and makeup dyes, anything that we had on set, because it's 3 in the morning, you're in the middle of Long Island, and there's nothing open, and you're like, okay, just what do we have that can make blood at this point?
I was going to say, I remember back in the day, like, at Nickelodeon Studios, they used to do a tour where they'd be like, oh, this is how we make the slime and the gack, and it's applesauce and fruit syrup, and it tastes so good. What does this blood taste like?
It depends on which we're using.
So we have specific mouth-safe bloods that just taste overly sweet because there's nothing in them, but most of the bloods have a detergent in them, because if you've ever played with fake blood and it like beads up really bad, it's because it's more of a mouth-safe blood, and soap is what we usually add. So it usually tastes like non-dish soap.
Yum.
Wouldn't recommend.
Hey, go ahead.
Hey, David. My name's Natalie.
Hi.
I'm in the Art the Clown Appreciation Society.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and we have a group chat called Art's Best Pranks. So I'm curious, what is the most unexpected fan prank that you've had so far?
Fan prank, like
yeah, have
someone's
you been
done to
pranked
me?
by a fan? Had anybody like harass you that kind of stands out to you or anything like that?
No, not that I can think of. I think people are too afraid to do that to me. Oh, wait. Nope. Kane Hodder, that bastard. Yeah, we've been having a prank war with each other for about the past year or so. He started it. He got me with fart spray. Oh. Yeah. But he does that to everybody, but everybody's always afraid to go after him because he's Kane Hodder. And so I decided to take that as a challenge, and I got a fart machine, and I put it in his trash can at his table one day, and I put it between the can and the liner, so if you looked in, he didn't see it. And anytime there's like a lull or something like that, you just when people are at his table, and you just see people up there like, hey, and they're like, oh. And I would sometimes give it to like my assistants so I could sit there and sign, and he would look over and see me signing. He's just like, ow, and he like eventually snuck over behind one of my fans. He's like, that clown's an asshole. And I'm like, hey, Stinky. And he's like, I knew it was you. I don't know how you're doing it, but I knew it was you. And then he got me back again at another panel one time, just breaks in the middle of it and just like, boring, you're so boring. And no one knew who it was, so everybody's getting pissed off. And then I'm like, hey, Stinky. And he's like, got you back. So we've been, going back and forth with each other. But, if you had told me when I was like 13 that I would be in the middle of a prank war with Jason Voorhees, I would have told you to get out of town, but here I am. It's been fun. He's a big, funny goofball. So, yeah.
Well, cool, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey.
Hey, David, Chris, huge fan, here with my son. One thing I want to say is you signed our picture yesterday, Stay Groovy. we're huge Bruce Campbell fans, and that's what he said to us at the meet and greet. So just
Nice.
the thing, it was just awesome coincidence. But I'm a huge Batman the Animated Series fan. Got to meet Kevin Conroy before he passed, and if I ever met Mark Hamill, I'd want him to sign my Joker pop. So your impersonation, I know that episode line by line was phenomenal. I recorded it. We should start a petition for you to be the next Joker. I totally think you would kill it.
Thank you.
I had a question about the movie, but I don't want to spoil anything. But in the opening sequence, do you think the little girl survived?
No.
Okay. All right. But here's my real question.
He had a kid's meal.
Yeah, I figured. I also have a theory that somebody else
a crappy
did survive. But with that said, my son and I are huge Ice Nine Kills fan. Were you able to attend the festival? You were there, right? Up at Connecticut a couple weeks ago.
I
last month?
did the one he did up in Boston.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us any stories? What it was like hanging out with Spencer and working with those guys?
Oh, they're great. I love Spencer. He's my buddy.
Yeah.
I first met him like 2 years ago when he came through New York doing the concert there at Madison Square Garden. He invited like Damien and Ellie at night to come to the show and hang out, and we stayed up until like the building closed, just shooting the shit in the dressing room all night, and we became instant buddies. And so that was so much fun working on that set, because what was cool is like they didn't tell all the people there that were all the extras what they were filming necessarily, so they didn't know Art the Clown was going to be in this. So I like walked into the room, they all went nuts. They're like, "Oh my god!" But that was a fun experience. I never imagined I would be doing a music video one day. So I had a lot of fun with those guys. It was crazy fun.
You're a video vixen.
Yeah, you should definitely push the Saturday Night Live thing. You could just kill the whole cast. It would be a phenomenal holiday episode. We were joking about, I don't want to take up too much time, but like Weekend at Bernie's, like we could picture Art like the holidays, because you already did Halloween and Christmas, so you got New Year's. You could do like a version of My Bloody Valentine. Like you could just keep going through the holidays.
Arbor Day.
Yeah.
Just make someone into a tree. Yeah. Cut him down.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
You're
Love
welcome.
the film. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Natalie. I just want to say I'm a huge fan of the Terrifier series. He's my favorite slasher.
Thank you.
Killer. But my question is, I know that there's a lot of mystery in the second and third movie, especially. I was wondering if you had any favorite fan theories that you've seen of speculating like what's going to happen in the next movie, or just the origins of Art, or anything like that.
Because Damien keeps a lot of things close to his vest, so I don't know how accurate some of these things are. I know certain things about Art, and I don't want to even go really into fan theories, because some have been close, some have been way, way off, and stuff like that. So, but I always love seeing the fan theories and stuff like that. But I kind of want to at least approach Art's origin as kind of a little bit like the Joker, and I hate to keep going back to him, but I'm just like, that whole idea is like you know who he was. I mean, he was the Red Hood, and he fell into the vat of chemicals and stuff like that. But you don't necessarily know who he was before he was the Red Hood. And I kind of like that idea. Maybe we can take that approach to Art's origin. Like we might show how he became Art the Clown or something like that. But it's up to Damien, man. I have that man I trust. He comes up with some wicked, crazy ideas, and I'm very interested to see what he's going to come up. He's told me a few things he's got planned for Part 4, because I know we are going to start going into a little bit more of his origins, and because I think people have been, patient enough. I think people are finally like, okay, you got to tell us what's going on with this guy, and so we're going to finally start answering those questions. I know that, and I'm like, because I like to explain to people, like, these films aren't like just one movie by themselves. It's kind of like, each film's like an act of a play. So we have Damien this whole entire time has had this whole arc that he's been wanting, this big story he wants to tell, and he's just breaking it up into chunks and everything like that. So just be patient. We're getting there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey.
My name is Paul. David, in Terrifier 2, we obviously saw that Art actually has not just a brutal side, but a caring side when he was passing out the candy to the kids in the mother's head. And when the kid tried to steal more candy, he slaps him, scolds him. Now, without any spoilers, in the mall scene, if some parents happen to survive, do you feel Art would have been doing almost the same to the parents that caused the situation by not watching, or so much as brutally murder them afterwards anyways?
Yeah, everybody was gonna die there. That was just, yeah. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, I look at Art as he likes to toy and play with his food, and that's what he does. He's like, and especially he likes to put on that little sweet, innocent side of him because I feel that lures people in. It puts people at ease. It makes it easier to pounce at his victims and stuff like that. So, yeah, he would still go after those people if he had a chance to. And it's
But
like,
he's gotta, you know.
oh yeah, that's definitely. But you definitely got to watch. Definitely got to watch.
And Heather, if I may, if David ever gets casted as the Joker, let's hear for it. Do you want a second chance to redeem yourself in Joker's makeup?
Listen, I would love to put him in Joker makeup. That is fully up to director whoever's directing it, but I would love to do him as Joker.
We look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I was just wondering, is there anything that you would go back and change in the first Terrifier film, like remove a certain scene or add to it?
I know like one thing that drove all of us kind of crazy is that we weren't able really to build up Victoria more in part one because you know, so I think Samantha is, you know, such a fantastic actress, and you know, her character really didn't get the exposition we wanted to give to her, and that's why we were very happy that we could actually do more with her in part 3. And I think Sam just knocked it out of the park with this one. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I think her performance of this was fantastic, and it was a new thing for her to do too. She's usually like the ingenues and stuff like that in a lot of these things, and no, I basically consider Samantha to be the MVP of this film because she went through a lot for that role. She every single day she was in.
Oh, we tortured that poor girl. I felt so bad every day. I was like, we did the worst things to her.
Yeah.
And every day she's like, just do it. We're gonna do. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, her makeup took like what, 8 hours?
Yeah, the full body one is 19 prosthetics plus blender pieces, everything in between. So it's 6 to 8 hours every day. And then she acted in it, and then we still had to take it off, and then turn around and do it again the next day.
Yeah, she was amazing, and it's just like, and she, I was so happy to work with her again because she and I had so much fun in part 1. I mean, I had great time with Catherine and Jenna as well, but like Sam and I really clicked really well in part 1. We were simpatico, and also thought, and originally her part was not going to be like this in part 3. We were going to originally kill her off at the beginning of part 3 because we had a different ending that we had filmed for part 2. And it's all thanks to James Wan that we changed it because of that little film called Malignant. We had originally filmed a whole sequence where Art's head appeared in the back of Victoria's head. And then Malignant comes out. We're like, oh, God, no. What are we going to do? Oh, dang you, James Wan. Oh, no, we got to come back and like refilm because there's no way we're going to beat that because what they did in Malignant was amazing. That was such a great effect. Oh my God, I can't give them enough respect for what they did with that character. And I was like, oh my God. But so it was our costumer, Olga, that came up with the idea. It's like, oh, why doesn't Victoria just give birth to her instead? What's not her, but to Art's head? And I'm like, oh my, that's brilliant. And that way we can keep Victoria alive and do a lot more with her in this film. So instead of going, curse you, James Wan, now we're like, oh, thank you, James Wan. You helped us do a whole new plot line for part 3. I think that just changed everything and made what we did in part 3 so much better. So.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I know I went off on a tangent there, so I'm sorry.
That was cool. Hey.
How long does it take to like take all of that makeup off?
It depends. It can be anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how much it wants to stick to his face that day.
Okay, that's not too bad. Like,
At 3 in the morning it is, I promise.
Yeah.
When we're like, I want to leave, I want to go home, and it's coming off in like tiny little chunks. I'm like, what the get off!
Is your face itchy after all of that stuff being on your face?
No, not usually. No, sometimes it depends. Sometimes I didn't take care of my skin as well enough the day before or something like that. So sometimes it depends what remover they use. It might get a little stinging or something like that. But I deal.
Okay, thank you. That's all I want to ask.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hey.
Hey. Heather had brought up some iconic sci-fi horror films earlier, so it made me curious for each of you. In your formative years, was there a particular film that you saw that you were like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? And what was it about the film that stuck with you?
I mean, I think I grew up on those films, but there's not a specific film, like I don't have that origin story of like, I watched it when I was 6 and I wanted to do this. I kind of fell into it through haunted houses. And I remember the day that I knew that I wanted to do this, I was 17, I'd had my first makeup job at the haunted house. Actually, the one here I'm from Virginia, it was Kingston Minion's Halloween Haunt. And Thank you. We'll go to Beth Gorley, who took a chance on a 17-year-old little me who knew nothing. I was like, here's an airbrush, here's some latex, here's this, push for air, pull for paint, have fun, have at it. And she kind of just let me run wild. And that first day, running around and seeing people reacting to my art and seeing just like how much it affected people, I think that's the thing I really fell in love with. I mean, there's a million amazing films out there that you see and you're like, you love that, but it's the thing I love about makeup is how much it can transform a person. Even seeing like the difference in Sam's personality when she's that versus when she sees herself in this makeup, the way she stands, the way she talks, everything, you just kind of morph into something else. And I don't think there's a form of art other than makeup that you can really do that with, where you actually transform the way a person feels about themselves.
I do have a film though. Mine was Who Framed Roger Rabbit when I was a kid. It's my favorite film of all time. I think it's a perfect film in every way. It's got everything I love about a film. But that was the first time I actually learned how films were made. They did a special on TV that was like an hour-long special where they showed how they made the film. And because that was before you had extras on DVDs and stuff like that would show you all behind-the-scenes stuff. So that was a really cool thing for me to see. And that's also where I learned about Mel Blanc, that he did, this one man did all these voices for cartoon characters like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's someone's job? Someone has a job doing this? Oh my gosh. Because that's what I originally, when I moved to New York, I wanted to be on Broadway, or I wanted to do voices for cartoons. And so it was that was the movie that really started me on that path. I mean, I had already started to learn how to do voices like a year before when I was in first grade, because I attribute to this one girl I had a crush on in my class, and we're having a story time, and she slipped me a note during story time, and my teacher was reading a Mickey Mouse book, and she's like, asked me if I wanted to be her boyfriend, and I just let out the gosh, and I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, that's my Goofy was my first voice. And after that, I started just building a repertoire. But that's when I learned about Mel Blanc. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. And it looked like, and then I was like, oh, these movies, these look like they would be a lot of fun to make. I think that would be cool. Because I'm one of these people, I like to see how things are made. I like the behind the scenes type of things. And so that was the movie that started me on my path.
Christopher Lloyd putting the shoes in the...
Oh my God, it's one of the most dramatic moments.
Why?
You know why? Most people forget this. The shoe kicked that one police officer in the nuts. And so he picks it up and... It's a horrible scene.
So mad. We got 5 minutes left. 3 final questions. What's your name?
I'm Alex, and I have a question for... I forget your name.
Heather, it's okay.
Heather, do you have any tips for anyone getting into special effects makeup?
Try everything, even if you don't think you can do it. You're going to fail at it at first, but that's how you learn what you don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey, if you want, you can, thank you for helping him. There you go. What's your name?
Micah.
Hey, Micah.
Hi, Micah.
Hi, Micah.
I have a question for David.
Okay.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Ooh, that's a good one. I have several. It's hard for me to say which is my favorite one, but I'll give you like my top 5 in no particular order. I mean, of course, the old school Halloween. I love that one. It's great. Halloween 1 and 2 like combined together are so good. You know, it's like, oh my gosh. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I got to finally get my Leatherface on in this last film, so I was very happy with that. I had a lot of fun with the chainsaw. Then, of course, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors, which such a good movie. I think that's where that series really peaked. It was like, that's such a good movie, such great kills in that movie too. Oh, the marionette kills, one of my favorite kills ever from a horror film. Scream, I love Scream. I think that is like a perfect film itself. I just think it's very clever. It's like there's so many layers to that film, which I love. And I would say also The Exorcist And I just think that's it's kind of cool having my own film where people have puked and passed out, and because that's what that film was known for all those years ago. So it's kind of cool, and I'm very interested to see what Mike Flanagan is going to be doing with it now, because I love Mike Flanagan's work. And I think he's going to be a great person to take over that franchise, because this man knows how to build atmosphere and really delve deep in with characters. So I'm excited to see that. What's yours?
That's hard. Maybe. Probably Terrifier.
Oh, you. Stop it. I heard someone give you a hint. But that's okay, I'll allow it.
Great choice. Good taste. Thank you for your question.
Yes.
All right, we got one more question. What's your name?
Lily.
Hey, Lily.
Hi.
My question's for David. What was your favorite part of filming the Terrifier sequence?
Ooh, my favorite part was in part 3. It was the whole bar sequence that we do in part 3, because I love any type of scene where I get to just play around with people, where Art just plays around with his victims before he does something really horrible to them. But also that week I got to share the screen with some actors that I have been fans of for decades of my life, that I have watched ever since I was a child, and actually to be able to do my craft with them and have fun with them. And it was with Clint Howard and Bradley Stryker and Daniel Roebuck. And that was a scene where Damien basically just let us loose. He's like, hey, I know I've written all this dialogue, but if you guys come up with anything, just you guys just play. And so for that week, we just played, especially Danny. Danny is such a great comedic actor, and he knows how to be a straight man when he has to be the straight man in the scene, and he was constantly just lobbing me comedy gold to play with. And it's like that whole torture sequence between the two of us, it was just constantly changing, and we're just having fun. And I was just besides myself with just glee that whole entire week just with these guys, because it felt so good. It just felt, this is like why I went into acting, was to have those type of moments where it was just all pure joy. It did not feel like work, and I loved it. And I kind of got a little teary-eyed the last night of it going home, because it all sunk in what I had just been able to do, and I was very grateful for it. So it's like, this is why I do it. I have fun, and I'm very grateful to be able to have this kind of fun. It's the best job in the world.
Great question.
Yes.
And obviously now there's much more fun to be had, because we know that there's a 4 coming out, so.
Oh, after that ending? Yeah, you better believe it. Yeah, that's actually the one part of the script when Damon, because we went through several drafts of this script, this thing changed so many times.
Daily. I mean, like,
daily.
Yeah, the bar scene he rewrote that weekend, and we got the sides for it that morning we started shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and the ending to the film was actually much longer and much more dark. Much more dark. It's like, and we just didn't have time, so we had to condense things to make sure we could fit everything in there. But the one thing that I remember the first time I read the script, I was like, Damien, if you change anything, do not change this ending, because I loved how it ended with these characters. It's such an Empire Strikes Back type of ending, and I love seeing these characters both being put in vulnerable places and very, very unsure where they're going to be going from now on. And I was like, that's such a great place to end things. And I'm very, very excited to see where we're going to be taking it going forward.
And I know we're excited to see. And of course, once again, congrats to the both of y'all on the huge success of this film.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see what's to come.
Thank you. And thank you guys for supporting us. Like I said earlier, you guys made this possible. You guys help us break records. You guys help us make history. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that.